Hi everyone, this is Kavita Kiran, co-founder of Identity First. Welcome to a new episode of Leader Speak series. In an era where artificial intelligence is reshaping industries and redefining possibilities, ensuring a responsible AI integration is paramount. ISO 42001 has emerged as an international standard designed for companies using, leveraging, and developing and providing AI-powered services. While its implementation is optional, the benefits that it provides are multifaceted and compelling. Today, we have with us Mr. Santosh Kamane, a cybersecurity and a data privacy leader, who will decode ISO 42001 for us. Hi, Santosh. Welcome to Leader Speak series. Thank you so much for coming to our show. Before we start discussing the much weighted and the more, the relevant, or I may say, discussed topic nowadays, ISO 42K, I would like the audience to know a little more about yourself. If you could just help us and let us know and take us through your journey, it would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Kavita. I'm happy to be part of your show. And about me, briefly, I have been a cybersecurity and data privacy professional for last 20 years, close to 2 decades. And my career started with service industries. Then I moved to primarily into financial, fintech, FinOps domain, managing the regulatory compliance, cybersecurity, data privacy, auditing, all these aspects. And then I also had my entrepreneurial stint where we built products for data erasure. And currently, I run a data privacy compliance and cybersecurity consulting firm called Revedics and a community called Cited.
What is ISO 42K and what does it all cover?
Cybersecurity industry in general, has matured a lot over, last few years. And if you see, there are multiple regulations as well as standards coming from ISO body. Like, for example, there has been ISO 27001, ISO 27701, ISO now 9001. So these are, structured approaches for managing your cybersecurity, data privacy, governance needs. Now, similarly, if you see over past few years, technology has been evolving really rapidly, right? And with the advent of AI, specifically Gen AI these days, we are saying that AI applications, they are on the rise, and critical applications are now being managed through AI. So there was always question that, how do I make sure that there is a trust in the applications that I build? So there were multiple bodies that started working towards regulating AI space, right? There is EU AI Act, and there are, some acts being built, especially in US. So with this ISO body, they also came up with this ISO 42001, which is more of a systematic, structured framework to make sure that the systems that you build, deploy, or use, they are reliable, they are secure, they can protect your personal data, and they can be marked as ethical. So that's the overall intent.
Now, coming to my next question is how does ISO 42K, help companies while they're using AI?
Obviously, the primary target is to address any, potential risks within AI space. But then, like I was saying, that in last few years, AI use has been on the rise very, very rapidly. Even the critical applications, let's say, for example, recruitment or loan approval system or your credit card approval system, these kind of applications also have a certain AI components today. The decision making is kind of managed by AI. Now, as a customer or as an investor, as a regulator, how do I make sure that the AI system which is built is secure, reliable, ethical, right? Now, to give that assurance, 42001 has a very, very, very structured approach. It follows standard ISO 27K kind of MSS, managed system standard. What it means that, right from your expectations of stakeholders, leadership support, to planning, to operations, and to support, right? all the areas are taken in a structured manner while AI goes through its development cycle. The AI requirements, AI risk assessments, AI inventory, AI testing, right? All these aspects are taken care in a structured manner that are auditable, and that gives more confidence to your customers.
Do you think all the companies today should go ahead and follow, ISO 42K?
Certainly. I mean, if you see traditionally ISO 27001, which was or which is still by far, kind of very popular standard when it
Right.
comes to managing your cybersecurity program.
Mhm.
Similarly, 42001 focuses on AI, like I said. And today there is definitely a significant absence of standard structured program for managing your AI. Now, if you are a company, regardless of your size, right, be it a small, medium, or large enterprise, if you are leveraging AI uh, to make key decisions for your applications, right, or for your customers, for your regulators, which may have a significant impact on its users. Like you could be building applications, you could be deploying, or you could be using. Then you should work towards building trustworthy AI, and the best way to get it there is, implementing 42001.
I'm sure you've already covered it, but still, I'd like to ask. Maybe it's a repetition. Like, what if you can just highlight what are the advantages of ISO 42001?
Right. So in today's world, where we are living in a, kind of globalization era, right? Now, we are selling our services across the globe.
Right.
Now, let's say if I'm selling my service or buying a service from somebody who is sitting across the globe, and he is offering me a technology solution where the AI is highly used. So, how do I make sure that the system that will be used uh, has the correct logic in place? The
Right.
data quality used in the AI is something I can trust, right? My data will be safe. The system is credible, reliable. Now, to do that, if as a company or
Mhm.
as a seller or as an AI service provider,
Right.
let's say if I go for ISO 42001, what it proves is that I have followed a certain structured approach. For example, that means that I have already identified AI risks. I am also clear with my AI objectives. I know where AI is used. I have a AI governance council in my organization. I have mitigated AI risk, right? I am conducting
Mhm.
internal audit for AI systems that I use.
Right.
And then I have all the clear documentation around my AI systems. And lastly, and very important, is AI, 42001, like other standards, requires
Mhm.
that external certification body to come
Right.
and independently assess your readiness. So as
Mhm.
customer, I have that assurance that, okay, this company has gone through certain, implementation approach and has been audited by a third party. So it certainly follows certain norms when it comes to AI compliance.
So in that way, I think the companies and the coders, especially if they get certified by ISO 42001, what do you think are the advantages?
Right. So there are multiple risks. I mean, especially talking about the technology space.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like talking about developers, for example, if you recall, there was an incident last year where this company, Samsung, what they
Mm-hmm.
said, they were going to block ChatGPT. The reason, because their developers, they said, were feeding a lot of critical information to AI to
Yeah.
get required information to build their code base, right? They were
Mm-hmm.
looking for supporting knowledge for building code base.
Right.
Now that was a serious risk because that was a data leakage risk. The
Mm-hmm.
internal intellectual property was being fed to AI. Number two, AI systems like OpenAI had a security incident last year. It looks like its APIs were breached, though there was not much information available in the public domain. So the point is that AI, at the end of the day, beyond just let's say, a coding snippet. It's also a hardware. It's also, let's say, a technology, structured technology on its own, right? So it does require security to be managed at different layers, from its code to from its risk assessment to its access control to its penetration testing, all of it. So that's something definitely companies should take care of, and that's what even ISO 42001 finds during its risk assessments.
So, how are controls for AI articulated in ISO 42001?
I mean, fortunately, this standard is very, very structured. The best part is that it can coexist with your 27001. So there is no, prerequisite to get this get started on this standard. Now, coming back to controls, this standard follows standard PDCA model, plan, do, check, act, right? And the MSS approach. So it has this 10 claused framework, wherein you have certain clauses or controls focused on the leadership support, planning, right? Then your operational work, right? Then monitoring your systems, and then improvement. So there are close to 38 controls, right from leadership support, like I said, AI risk assessment, maintaining your documentation, building AI governance forum, measuring AI performance, right? And also building KPIs or KRIs for measuring your AI in terms of its ethical offerings or trustworthiness. For example, how do I make sure that my AI has accountability, or the bias, or the fairness, security, privacy, all of this is addressed, right? So there are very clear guidelines around it. The annex that comes with this standard has very, very clear support on building these objectives, control objectives.
So does ISO 42001, kind of cover the data security, hacking risk, and so many doomsday concerns about AI?
It does. It does. Because ISO 42001, like I said, it's a structured approach for managing your risks. At the end of the day, goal of all these standards, regulation is that you have control over managing your risks and you bring them to the acceptable level. So, for example, like I said, AI at the end of the day is a technology space. I mean, beyond its, let's say, machine language or deep language, there are heavy technology components that would be leveraged in building AI applications. Like, for example, there would be certain programming languages, there would be hardware, there would be API interfaces, certain, technology stacks, open source components, and whatnot. So all these components have to be assessed for certain risks. And just like what we follow in managing certain, risk management or following certain risk management standards, where people, process, technology are the key components. Same goes with AI also. Any process that you would follow as part of deploying or validating your AI, that needs to undergo its own risk assessment. For example, change management, data validation, testing of your data quality. Technology, like I said, penetration testing. It could be red teaming also. Vulnerability assessment, which has to be a continuous cycle while you run the AI. And the third thing, the people themselves. Like if I'm handling AI systems for my organizations, do I have the right credentials? Do I have the right expertise in managing that? Because at the end of the day, people have a lot of power, they have access. As long as they know how to securely manage the systems, your systems would be protected to great extent, right? Yeah.
So can you share a success story or a case study where ISO 42001 has significantly helped an organization's AI practices?
Sure. So AI is fairly new phenomena when you talk about, let's say, LLMs or generative AI. But otherwise, as a concept, it's quite old technology concept, right?
Right.
Yeah. So now coming back to success stories, after AI was kind of brought to mainstream through generative AIs or LLMs, probably it's been close to 2 years or a little less than that. And post that, after identifying all the or the potential risks in terms of building ethical or trustworthy AI, like NIST says, so a lot of countries they started building their own AI regulations. Like for example, US is in the progress. EU AI Act was
Right.
passed, and then Singapore MAS, I believe they have also released some notices around AI use.
Mhm.
So 42001 with the same pace, it was launched towards end of last year, 2023. So companies have started adopting it. This is fairly new space, but companies like let's say Infosys, for example, they have, I believe, went ahead and certified themselves, which is a great success story in the market because that's kind of shows that when it comes to AI, you need to have a structured approach, and that's I'm sure the other companies they have already followed or they would continue to follow. I mean that would have a big impact.
How does ISO 42001 integrate with other existing cybersecurity standards and frameworks?
So the best part is that this standard can integrate seamlessly. 42001 can coexist with your existing privacy standards or cybersecurity standards like 27001 or any other standard. So as an organization, let's say if I want to start with 42001, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like for example, if I want to build a risk register or inventory. Now, I may not have to build two separate ones, like one for my existing frameworks and the one for 42001. I may, prefer to merge it, right? Just maintain the common. The other thing could be, let's say I have a governance council or committee for managing my existing framework. So the same committee with certain changes wherever possible to align with 42001 requirements, I can follow that. So 42001, the biggest advantage is that it can coexist with other standards, be it 27701 or 27001, NIST, HIPAA. You can mention these standards as something from external origin that you would comply with in the 42001 control requirements. So it's fairly easy.
And how does ISO 42001 address the ethical concerns associated with AI, such as bias and fairness?
Right. So there are certain set of characteristics when it comes to AI. Like for example, fairness. Is the AI system that I have built, is it fair to my customers in terms of delivering outcome? For example, when it comes to something like fairness or bias, let's say you are leveraging AI for recruitment, managing your recruitments, right? So, is it possible that AI system, when it makes decision to shortlist a candidate or hire certain candidates, can it just prefer candidates from certain geographies, certain religions, race? If it does, then it's a huge risk, right? Because at the end of the day, as a user, as a customer, I want to make sure that it is completely fair, and there is no bias. So this is where these risks based on these principles: accountability, fairness, security, privacy. So all these principles, you identify associated risks related to it during your AI risk assessment, and make
Right.
sure for each risk you have a clearly laid out plan to address those risks.
And how can startups and smaller companies, leverage ISO 42001 to gain a competitive edge?
Now, if you see, there are good number of companies in AI space that are small and medium businesses or startups. They are building very innovative, applications. And AI, by nature, it's a innovative space, right? There are n number of applications that you can build using AI. I mean, it's like there is no limit,
Correct.
right? And that's where the market is heading. The other concern, at the same time, is your customers, can they trust what you build, right?
Mhm.
And is there independent third party who can certify that what you have built
Mhm.
is something I can accept? Like if I'm the customer, I know that AI would help me with my automation, with my, productivity. It'll help me with the cost, all of that, agreed. But, if it is not fair in terms of its outcome, if there is a bias issue, can it really sell it to my customers? No, I cannot, right? It's a huge, huge risk. The impact could be much, much significant of any wrong AI decision making. Like, for example, if a bank is leveraging AI for loan
Right.
approvals or credit card approvals,
Mhm.
a wrong approval can, really raise a question mark, and it could lead to a reputational risk for the bank. So it's very critical issue.
And what advice do you give to cybersecurity professionals, who are just starting their career and, and to work with AI and with ISO 42001?
Couple of things. One is it's very important before you get into AI, understand the potential of AI, understand its the complete space in terms of its applications, the components it may be used, and how business is trying to leverage it in their organizations. By that, what I mean is that it's not just technology, right? You have certain stakeholders, you have certain users. Like, for example, if you use UI for AI for recruitment, it may be your HR who will feed the data, who would be the biggest users of this AI. So it is very important for cybersecurity professional to understand the entire ecosystems of the AI. The other thing, 42001, like any other standard, follows MSS. So understand the structured approach. Like, for example, it starts with knowing the clear expectations of your stakeholders. Like, what is the regulator want? What is that regulator want? What are my customers expecting in terms of AI output? So clearly understand those. Understand leadership support, how to gain it. Understand the organizational structure in terms of building AI committees, risk assessment. Keep up to date with AI standards, regulations, because they would continue to be updated every now and then. So it's very important. Yeah.
So, given your extensive experience in the field of cybersecurity, what are the skills, or I may say the qualities that today the CISO should own or you should, have to be a successful CISO in today's ever-changing landscape?
Now, this is one question, I get all the time, especially from, young guys who are either transitioning into cybersecurity or those who are aspiring to be CISOs.
Right.
Traditionally, if you see the technical expertise, somebody who had technical expertise, especially in IT networking areas, they were the prime candidates stepping into cybersecurity. Those who had knowledge of infrastructure, cloud, TCP/IP, they were like common candidates. But then back then, CISO was still a technical position. Like, the expectation were that you manage the technology risks, and business was focusing on the revenue or managing the key business processes. Now, over a period of time, because regulators have become very stringent, like if you look at IBI, RBI, Fed, or MAS, or any regulator for that reason, all of them, they have started holding your leadership accountable or board of directors accountable for your cybersecurity risks. The reason, because if there is a data breach, data leakage, the impact is significant, right? On the customers in terms of their personal data, on the organizations in terms of compromising their confidential data or intellectual property, trademarks, and so on. So these regulators have started sharing, certain set of guidelines. For CISOs to independently just work on the technology guidelines, it's not going to build your effective program, right? What they need to do is that, understand the business context, understand what regulations really apply to my industry, understand how do I drive cybersecurity in my organizations, because your stakeholders may not be as technical as you are, right? Now, to go and sell cybersecurity, ask for security budgets, get new tools, get vendors onboarded, building your security teams, building that knowledge repository within your team, it's going to be challenging. So, business context, stakeholder collaboration, understanding regulatory compliance, and then staying up to date with emerging threats. These four are the key requirements.
Fair enough. I think these are the words of wisdom from straight from an expert. Thank you so much, Santosh. It was really great having you today, and I'm sure this discussion will definitely help a lot of people, to understand, and especially the ISO 42001 and its advantages, and especially in the world of AI, which is going to stay for a long, I suppose. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Kavita. Happy to be part of your show. Thank you.
Thank you.